afternoon from Los Angeles, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alissa Coram here. I'm joined by Ed Carson. And Ed, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, thanks, Ali. Tesla broke out powerfully today. Apple snuck past a buy point finally, and Zoom just zoomed higher ahead of its earnings. But it was really a strong day on Wall Street.
Yeah, that it was. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. We saw a gain of about 0.7% for the day on the tech-heavy index, as well as gains of 0.4% each for both the Dow and the S&P 500. So the NASDAQ now solidly reclaiming that 9,500 level.
Yeah, I mean, it was really unnerving the middle of last week. Wednesday morning, all these growth stocks were tumbling so much, but the market bounced back. The growth stocks bounced back. Here we are at new highs here for the rally. The 50-day line is about to cross the 200-day line. Just a solid day after just a really impressive performance. When you think of the negative headlines out there, there's China tensions, there's these riots that are in protests that are going out there. If nothing else, that could hinder a very fragile beginning to an economic recovery and spur new coronavirus cases. I mean, there's a lot of negative headwinds, but the market is saying it wants to go higher. That's what it's doing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very resilient market right now, which almost reminds me of the market that we saw early in 2020, back before the coronavirus crash. It's very, very impressive indeed. But let's take a look at some individual names, starting off with Tesla. Ed, you mentioned a breakout here for the electric car maker, a strong gain of almost 8% today, powerfully moving higher out of that consolidation area that we noted was looking pretty quiet after some huge swings that the stock had seen.
Yeah, I mean, it had a little bit of a shakeout last week, but it's really small, even relative to other growth stocks, really trading tightly. And, it had this growth, you could say that was a buy point of around 843. The conventional buy point would be at 869.92. Blew past both of them. The relative strength lines at a new high. I mean, it's still buyable till say around 920 or so, but it's getting close to being extended if you think about the fact that if it was really breaking out from like 843, so you probably wouldn't want to let it go too much further if you were to start a position. But it's really was an impressive action today.
Yes, that it was. And elsewhere among popular tech stocks, let's take a look at Apple, which is also in a buy range after an additional handle that was formed here. We had a handle breakout way back over here, and it was trading tightly, and now finally able to close at its highest level in this little consolidation here.
Yeah, it actually, as you can sort of see, it got above that level 4 times previously in the past week or so, but it had never closed above it. No, it was just nice to get above there. The volume's really weak, but if it's a place to add a few more shares or start an initial position on a weekly basis, this stock, it was an actual official handle because it didn't actually form that handle on a daily. It was sort of a quirk because it was a good looking handle, the original one on a daily chart, but nonetheless, there was a real handle there. It's just a nice, just a solid action. A lot of the big cap techs didn't do much today, but this was a decent gain, 1%, outperforming the market. It's a $1.4 trillion stock, so every 1% really kicks in.
Yeah, very good point there. And last but not least, Zoom Video zooming higher ahead of its quarterly earnings report after the close on Tuesday. A pretty incredible move here today, up 14% heading into the earnings report. And I know on IBD Live, Arusha was noting that this potentially could be likened to a breakout from an ascending base, given that it did have 3 pullbacks here before blasting higher.
I mean, that's potential. That's one way to look at it. You could say that it sort of broke out on Friday. You could say it had a bullish rebound last Tuesday, though it had hit the 50-day line, a number of times, or the 10-week line. But it was a pretty short consolidation. If you think of an ascending base, maybe it works, but it's extended now. I mean, that's also another thing. And there's earnings tomorrow. That's the big thing, is
Right.
that, and maybe the earnings will go great, but man, I mean, there is going to be, there is probably going to be a lot of volatility. There's volatility on any day with Zoom, it seems like. So who knows? This might go up 20%. It might go down 40%. So they're just adding a lot of risk if you bought it right before earnings.
Yeah, and it's now some 35% above that 50-day moving average. That's pretty extended there, but we'll definitely have to see what that quarterly earnings report says. We know that this has been a stock of extreme focus for investors when you're talking about companies benefiting indirectly from the coronavirus pandemic. This has definitely been in the mix of those, and a hot one to watch. But like you said, potentially volatile tomorrow. That's always why you want to make sure you have a good cushion heading into that earnings report. And even if you do, the conviction to hold as well.
Yeah, I mean it's always an art whether or not when to sell a winning stock. And I think the real issue with the earnings report, obviously they're going to have some good numbers in there. Is there a sense that it's going to be sticky? Is it going to be
Right.
sticky? Are you and I going to keep doing Zoom meetings, in 6 months from now, or is or not? And so I think that's what people want to know is this got real legs, and that's what we're going to find out maybe to some extent
Mhm.
tomorrow.
That's right, because that was also a little bit of the issue with Netflix, right?
Hmm.
They were talking about the coronavirus impact on their subscriptions right now and through the end of the year. So, any sort of color from the management team will be pretty interesting. So, we'll definitely keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, that's it for today. And you can be sure that the conversation will continue tomorrow morning on IBD Live. That is our morning live stream for the first hour plus of trade, where we're sharing our screen and providing the latest up to the minute insights, not only on top growth stocks that are looking interesting, but broader market conditions as well, and really providing you that expert perspective that you need. Because, I mean, if you look at where we are in the market right now, like we talked about at the top of the show, with all of the negative headlines that we have seen in this rally, who would have thought that this rally would have been going the way it has?
We've been saying on IBD Live, oh, we wouldn't be a surprise to see it go sideways from here. But at the same time, you follow the market. I mean, that's what the thing is. The market kept rising, so you need to play that trend, knowing that you could have a sideways move or downward move. But you just listen to the market and follow the market. Don't try to tell the market what to do.
Exactly. So you can catch those discussions on IBD Live. Make sure to join us at investors.com/IBD Live. And again, that's it for today. These conversations are for educational and informational purposes only. So make sure to do your own research. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.